All right, so just want to talk a little bit about tabletop sports gaming or tabletop gaming in general. Most of my subscribers are already in the hobby, whether they're playing tabletop sports games on their PC or they're playing tabletop sports games on their tables, or whether they're playing tabletop sports games with a PC helper. Some are boxed board games with charts and boards and tables and lots of dice and minis, whatever. And some are my favorites, which is the stuff that inspired me to make my games in book form. Lost Ship, a survival science fiction game, one of my favorites. This thing is only 20 pages long. I absolutely love this game. This is my second book. That's how much I've enjoyed this game. It needs, 2 to 6 six-sided dice and some, obviously, either the printouts that are available from the website, or you can use a notebook, which is what I do. I just jot everything in a notebook, move on. And you need 2 to 6 six-sided dice for this amazing science fiction survival game. Again, these are kind of my desert islands. That is a go-to desert island. My favorite tabletop role-playing game, period. This is an OSR. It is based on the old Dungeons & Dragons white box, which was kicked off basically in the early 70s, 1974. So, of course, this is much modernized, and it is actually using Sword and Wizardry white box as its foundation. So this is, in a way, a remaster of Sword and Wizardry OSR's white box version. And there is no doubt I have played more games, I've run more sessions with this game than any game I own outside of Basic Fantasy. Basic Fantasy, probably a very, very close second to this. There's a couple of reasons I like this more. This is more in line with the actual game, as far as the use of the dice, the procedures. I mean, this is pretty strict. This adheres to a more strict code following the original rules. Basic Fantasy is a simpler, more streamlined, modern version of a D&D. It simplifies. And the other reason I fell in love with this is the size. I remember begging Chris Gonerman, because at the time Basic Fantasy was my game, and I remember begging him, make a digest size, and he refused. And what ended up slowly knocking Basic Fantasy off my list was the size of this game. I love it. So it was sticking to the hardcore white box, fairly, but then it was a handy travel size. And again, it was $5.99, so I could buy 4 or 5 of these from Amazon and hand them to all my table players. So everybody got a copy, which was fun. So anyway, and I've got a couple of different versions. I've got a couple with this cover, a couple with there's like 3 or 4 alternate covers I have as well. And then I've got my Unknown Lands campaign homebrew tweaks scribbled in the back of this. I tore the character sheet out so they could, I think I did, I'm pretty sure I tore the so they could make copies, laid on a photocopy or side by side, make 2 copies at once. This, I would love to play more of this, either GM this or play this. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to organize any kind of actual role-playing sessions with my friends, either locally or online. But if I could, I would love to run this or play in some white box. If not, I'll try to maybe do some solo play with this, because I can do that anytime. I can do that at 3 in the morning when I'm up with coffee, and 4 in the morning I could play some solo adventures. So keep that in mind. I mean, a lot of my sports fans here could care less about that, but I do. The game that brought me back to tabletop sports gaming, I've talked about this ad infinitum, pen and paper football. I have run multiple leagues, and I've enjoyed my second longest career ever in tabletop sports was a 1970 16-team league that I played 25 years in. Since then, I have finally surpassed that with 27 seasons in the Patriot Football League, which used this and flash football, and it's used a myriad of different football games, but that league is still going. My Patriot Football League, literally, I'm in the final 2 weeks of my 27th season. I just haven't played it of late. And I want to play more of this. I mean, I get this out all the time, and I just haven't done it consistently again. But my heart is telling me I need to get this out and maybe finish a couple of seasons of. Maybe I'll put the Patriot football teams, re-rate them for this, or maybe I'll re-rate my Big Country Football League with this. I don't know. But so what's great about this? You know, you're looking at actual rules, because some of these are just photocopy tables. You're looking at 44 pages in a 6 by, what is that, a 6 by 9 book? Not quite, little larger than that. And it has league play, team creation. It comes with 32 teams pre-made, and it has a career mode. It has a schedule for different size leagues. I mean, this is worth it just for the scheduler. I mean, I use this for all of my games. One of the reasons this is out here handy is when I do my basketball schedule, instead of it being one game, that's a series. So I use this for my basketball league, and that's just a series of games, right? I don't want to have to figure out the schedules. I pull my hair out trying to make schedules. This is worth it just to have these base schedules. And it does have an actual snap-by-snap every down football sim. I've played maybe 3 games in it ever. It works fine. I've even made a cheat sheet for this, so I don't have to try to read the fine print and remember how to do it all. I made a cheat sheet that lets you roll everything right off the cheat sheet. But it lacks some. If I have to be honest, it's all dice, which is fine. But that means there's a lot of dice rolls, a lot of dice checks, and it just is a little. It's not sexy. It's not a sexy simulator. For a game that dominates my play, or dominated my play with its league play, its actual full sim, although it works great, it's fine, it jives with all the ratings, it's just not sexy. It's kind of boring in that sense, right? So when I play this, it is exclusively league play. And man, just handling it, every time I look at it, it's like, I want to play. Yeah. And then, of course, my game, my solo RPG, Man versus Beast, all you need to play this game is a D20, right? That boy right there, D20. And then my game, Big Country Mobster, which is an solo adventure game. All you need to play this is a couple of D10s, a D10 for the tables, and then, excuse me, a D10, not a D100, D10. I don't know what I said. Did I say D10? Okay. You need a D10 for all the tables, for your mob creation, and then to resolve all of your conflicts. All you need is a D10 for this. And then our flagship, Dell and I's baby, Dark Age of Man. This, all you need to play this is a D12, and that is it. One of my goals when I design games is to provide either enough functionality that we don't need a lot of dice rolls in general, or I want it to be either a common die. All of my time sports games, all they need is a D6. Anybody who owns a Monopoly game or Candyland or any game will have a D6. And so they buy my book, they can play all kinds of sports games with just this. So that was a big reason why I designed the time games the way I designed them. But I love the linearity of dice as well. I don't like curved results. So bell curve results allow us to control the percentages of results. That's great, right? Stratomatic. It's 2.5% on 3 is whatever it is. I can't remember the numbers offhand, but it allows Stratomatic to be accurate statistically. So in that sense, you need it. I like games to be built in the fact that we can drop a die, and that balanced linear result makes it exciting. So there might be a chart in my football game where a team can score on 5 and 6, so they score 34% of the time. But this linear drop, that it could be anything. There you go, a 1. So they went from being a team that could rack up a couple of touchdowns to, bam, a turnover in one roll of the dice. So I love dice that can be anything on any roll, because it makes the games dynamic, fun, and exciting. And dropping the dice becomes wow, right? That's what I loved about the D12. I wanted that variation of 8.3%, 8.33% or whatever, but I also wanted there to be that big critical moment in which your hero does something truly amazing with one drop of the dice on an 8, but The reverse of that is your hero could have something absolutely catastrophic happen to them on a roll of 1, and it makes dropping this D12 so bam, so much fun. And D10 same way, except it's just 10%, right? We're looking at a 10%. And again, there's no critical roll, so to speak, in this game. But I love games that feature balanced rolls because any drop of the die could give us any result. Man v Beast is D20, right? 5% chance, 8.3 or 8.6, whatever percent chance, 10% chance, 16.7% chance. Oh God, what is the D8? The D8 is, what is that, a 12% chance or something? And then, of course, 25% chance. But they're balanced. They're a linear balanced die. And I never gave dice much of a thought. When I played as a kid, I just, whatever it said to roll, you rolled. I never, ever, as a 10-year-old kid, when I was teaching my friends how to play D&D, I was never doing the math. So I never understood probabilities as a kid. I just said, hey, you got to roll a D20. Obviously, as I grew up and matured and began to investigate games, I began to realize, oh, there's actually a reason for this. But what's amazing is, despite that, at 30-something years old, when I discovered Grid Zone and started playing Grid Zone football, Gary Brown's amazing fictional football sport game, he had a D12, and I had ignored the D12 most of my life. The only time I ever saw D12 was come up, it was in D&D, was in this game here. And you might roll a D12 for some odd table, or you might roll a D12 for a great sword damage. But the D12 was kind of this ignored die for the most part. And his game uses D12, and the D12 generates a result on that chart. And you knew with a roll of 1 that, if you rolled low, you knew, bad, it's probably not going to be good for your football team unless you got a really well-rated football team. But if you rolled high, you had a good idea it was going to be an explosive play. But it was so much fun dropping that D10 or that D12 and immediately going, and then going to the charts to see what the results were. This Grid Zone Turf Wars convinced me that this was the die that I wanted for our Dark Age of Man game. That 8.3% chance was just sweet enough that it made the game, worth rolling dice, but we could have some amazing things happen either for the hero or great for the hero or bad for the hero. And you can modify this with some simple +1s, +2s, etc. and weight the dice upwards for success and downward for failure. But I knew that my 400 plus games of Grid Zone convinced me the D12 was the way I wanted to go with my first role-playing game. And fortunately, Dell and I didn't have to butt heads too much on using the D12 for Dark Age of Man. I'm a huge fan of the D12 now, and it was a big part of why I chose its experience with Grid Zone is what influenced me to make Dark Age of Man the way I made it, as far as using a mechanic. So anyway, I want to go over these because I think one, we are living in the golden era of tabletop gaming. Period. I think we're definitely living in the golden age of role-playing games. There's thousands of games out there and sports games. It's unbelievable the number of quality, brilliant tabletop sports games, whether they are strategy games, tactical games, head-to-head games, solitaire games, replay games. I don't care, and they're generally reasonably priced. You just can't beat this hobby now at this time. I always prefer table now as an adult, and I prefer actual pencils, papers, and dice. I don't use a computer. I have a calculator here because I don't want to try to count on my fingers and toes to do some math. But outside of that, I still prefer old school. The name of our company is Candlelight Games for a reason. If the power went out tonight, I could light a candle, grab a dice and a pencil and paper, and still enjoy this if the power was out. And that was the whole gist of the name of our company, Candlelight Games. And I cannot say enough about the opportunity to immerse your imagination from science fiction survival to fantasy swords and sorcery to career-based football games that are fast or simulations or strategic or just roll the dice to discover the result. It's unbelievable. And these are my favorites. These are always at my fingertips. These three sit beside my computer there, between my computer and my monitor. They're always at my fingertips. These are generally on the bookshelf because they're a little bigger. I've got 2 of my own games coming that'll fit with these books. These are the books that are out. My other books are generally put away or on a bookshelf, and I use them only when I get them out to actually play the game. But I've got 2 paperback books coming that will be my go-to books for all of my big country stuff, for baseball, basketball, football, my sports games, the time sports games. And then, of course, I've got Big Country Secret Agent coming, which is going to fit right here with these boys. Those 2 books are going to be roughly the same size as this. They're a little thicker, and they will wrap up my go-to games. I mean, this would be, the only thing I'm missing is my favorite time sports games. That I don't have a book that's here yet, that's physically going to go. But this is what I would travel with. This is what I would go to a desert island with. All I would need to play these games is 1 set of polyhedral dice, and I can play any of these games ad infinitum for as long as I want to. And without compunction, I recommend games in books. Sports games in books. Dead Ball with Dice is a book game. And the reason I say that is they're portable. Yes, you need notebooks, you need dice, you need pencils, you need those things, but you need those things whether you're playing Apple. But they're usually cheaper to buy into. I mean, this cost me, what, $3, $4? This cost me $5. This cost me $2. My games are, I think, $9 paperback on Lulu. They're a little larger. Color, whatever, quality paper. Our big Dark Age of Man role-playing game. But my point is, games in books are always there. All the rules you need are right there. You pull it out, your charts are there, your rules are there. They're portable. They generally are durable. I mean, I have worn this book out playing hundreds and hundreds of seasons. Hundreds of games, 25 plus seasons. I've had multiple careers that I've played multiple seasons, and it's still intact. I mean, I've written in it. I have literally folded it back, and this was a Lulu book. This book came from Lulu, and despite its wear and tear, it is still intact. It's beautiful. I can make notes in it. There's so many reasons why I think books are better for tabletop games. Hard to do with, say, Apple baseball, right? You got to have a stack of players and a team. You're going to have your field, which is not that big a deal, but you need your chart book. So there's just some games you can't squeeze into a book, right? Because they have individual players with ratings and things. So I get it, right? I get it. But if I were to suggest to anyone you get into this hobby, I would say go to a book game first, and go to a game that isn't just a replay game. Go to a game that lets you create your own teams and enjoy the sport first. By opening up your imagination, by creating your own league, your own teams, your own players, find out what that feels like. You already know that you love baseball. You already know that you're a big Boston Red Sox fan. So you can always go grab a Stratomatic or an Apple. But I would recommend Dead Ball, Baseball with Dice. I'd recommend John M. Stater's Pen and Paper Football. I would recommend, I don't even know that, Christopher, what's his name? Sad thing is, Charlie Mason, I guess is his name. Isn't that sad? I have played more games of this in the last 15 years than any role-playing game, and Mason is his name. Charlie Mason. I'm so sorry, man. I'm never, unlike Chris Gonerman, who I couldn't miss on Basic Fantasy. Chris Gonerman. Everything by Chris Gonerman. Long story short, and then WMA Makers. This is the gentleman that makes baseball with dice, Dead Ball, Baseball with Dice. This gentleman also makes a Dead Ball. And I can't recommend enough that you try out these book form games, including, obviously, my sports games, the big time sports or big country time sports games. Because, again, you create your own leagues, your own teams. They're abstract. They generally only require a D6 to play every game in the book. And I think it makes it practical, affordable, practical, and limitless, endless. So, but anyway, in talking about this, I will probably be doing some solo of White Box because, again, I haven't had time to actually play or run this for real people. My hours are just too skewed to make plans. I've unfortunately made plans and then had to abandon them because we were traveling. So I'm very nervous about saying, hey guys, Thursday, let's play a game of White Box, whether I'm playing or I'm running the game, because I don't know if I'm going to have to pack up and leave. So I have curb stomped my social life right into the toilet, but only because I'm living a life in which I've had to abandon sessions and things, and I feel bad about that. So I won't do anything until I commit, and I know I'll be there. And then seeing this. So I'll probably be playing more of this, and I'll be playing some White Box soon. So for those who are interested in those two things, keep your eyes and ears open for videos upcoming. I don't have a good solo. I know I have the GM emulator, but I've never really wanted to use a single player solo. I've never really wanted a solo RPG. Partially because the games they're social and I love playing with other human beings, but the other reason is I've already got all these rules to worry about. I don't want to also have another set of rules that I got to use to run through a solitaire system. So when I have done something solo, I pretty much create the players and then either use the Wandering Monster tables in the back as I set out on an adventure, and I just roll to see what happens to my characters along the way. It lacks a little variety. It requires me to do all the heavy imagining, but that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, also, what was I going to say? There was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, coming soon. I'll be playing. I'm in the final week of my Big Country Football season, 1950 season. I'm in the final week of that. When I wrap that up, I'll be playing the playoffs. So for those who are following my Big Country Football League, I have finished 48-49, and I'm almost done with the season of 50, and then I will be playing the playoffs. My team may not even make. They won the championship last year. I'm not certain my team's even going to make the playoffs this year. So it's been great fun. All right, so everybody out there, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.